Commissioner Gary Black.
Thanks, Craig. Great answer. Yeah, to the tune of about $70 billion. 70 billion with a B, and about 1 in 9 people somehow have a relationship with agriculture, food, and fiber. To Ross and Laura and event planners, Craig, Secretary Brian, good to be with y'all today on this panel. Ladies and gentlemen, how many of y'all have had a wonderful month of a honeymoon? For how many of y'all is a honeymoon over? Yeah. You'll learn that honeymoon does get over. I walked in to the front desk up here a while ago and I said, I'm looking for the meeting with ACCG, and the woman looked at me, she said, you mean the meeting of the Island of Misfit Toys? And I said, well, I didn't think it's quite that bad, ma'am. And she said they're around the corner. So, no, ladies and gentlemen and leaders, first of all, congratulations. Super opportunities now ahead of each of you. How many of you, when you were campaigning, you talked about jobs? Rest of you's lying. That's the way that goes. There's not a one of us that are not interested in seeing our communities prosper. Not a one of us that are more interested in seeing more investment locally. And I'm quite certain, make a difference who you are, what you were campaigning, and what the local issues were, it had to be the economy. And still, so to that end, each of you have a wonderful responsibility and wonderful opportunity now. Before we get too deep into just some brief remarks I want to bring to you today, there is one person in the room that y'all is one of y'all's colleagues that was elected this past time. And she's really going to need a bunch of extra help. She had never been around politics before and really never been in a firefight before. And I just wish y'all would come alongside her this week and just give her some extra help, because Sister Hudson's right back there in the back, and she's from Hancock County, and y'all just give her a little extra help this week. I'll get in the foxhole with her anytime she wants to go. She fought in the Georgia General Assembly, and she's my buddy, and I'm glad to see her. But there's a bunch of other friends, and Chairman Tom Crow and others from home, and Jimmy, good to see y'all. And we nearly about have a family reunion here pretty close, but I'm grateful to share just some limited remarks, but most importantly, hopefully I answer some of your questions as we move forward. I'd like to wrap this kind of around 3 words real quickly. Because to me, when we're talking about economic development, and a challenge that I'd like to leave with you is to consider the word loyal or loyalty, the word local, and the word logical. And when I come back to loyal, I do think about the little boy sitting on the swing going back and forth with a little teenage girl and boy sitting there not knowing what they do, and they just trying to get the conversation going. And he looks over at her and he says, well, if I had 1,000 eyes, I'd use every one of them just to look at your pretty little face. And she says, uh-huh. So they swung back and forth just a little bit more, and he looked at her and said, you know, if I had 1,000 hands, I'd use every one to just caress your pretty little fingers. And she said, uh-huh. They swung a little bit more and went back and forth, and he looked at her. He said, if I had 1,000 lips, he said, I'd use every one of them just to kiss your pretty little cheek. And she said, you don't mean what you say. He said, why do you say that I don't mean what I say? And she said, because you're not using what you already got. So the first word is loyal. And we could talk about all this whole economic development process. Yeah, we do go get the kids. We do go get those things that come into our community. But ladies and gentlemen, my first challenge to all of you is the first step that you'll take is to be loyal to the people that brought you to the dance. And that you'll create a regulatory climate at the local level and a tax climate at the local level where your existing small businesses can expand, because we all know that's where the jobs are. Loyalty is a big deal, and you'll find that your constituents will respect the fact if you respect loyalty at home. I think it's a really key component of economic development that maybe we don't talk enough about. Because I'm fortunate to go to the governor on some places. We went to Turkey this past year. We've done this. We have international visits in our office. I had a prospect in our office with bioremediation company that can use agricultural products and forest products to do that, and had lunch with them in our building yesterday. They're from North Carolina. And maybe they'll come set up shop in Georgia. But still, for you at home and for those of us, even at the state level, it's important to remain loyal to those that have brought us to the dance. So that's challenge number one. Challenge number two is somewhat similar. It's local. When I'm talking about local, I'm talking about the opportunities that we have within our own existing economies, particularly when it comes to agriculture. So let me tell you what, folks, natural may come and go. Organic may come and go, or it will find its place. If you're in the beef industry, grass-fed will come and it'll find its place where it will buoy. And there are parts of the portfolio where we're kind of hearing these buzzwords in agriculture today. But let me tell you something that's not going anywhere but up, and that's local. More and more people are understanding that there is a dramatic relationship between the local production of products, understanding where your food comes from, and national security. Now, they don't, sometimes we've done some studies about this. We've got some communication work in agriculture that we need to continue to do. Your constituents, the general public, those folks who farmers think don't understand them, and all of us have been sitting around belly and aching about that since I was in high school. I've said, people don't understand farmers. Well, they don't. Let me tell you what they do. They like farmers, but they're confused about farming. They like farmers, but they're confused about farming. And we have a big challenge at state level in some of our regulatory programs to make sure. Look, it's a big portfolio. The free market determines. That's not what type of agriculture is not a social issue to me. That's an economic issue, and a free market will figure that out. But where the economic opportunity is local. There are going to be more opportunities locally for the production of food, the processing of food, the processing of forest products, and I would just challenge you to put that within your field of vision. Because what better way to grow a business than to literally grow a business at home? And so that's where it's going to be important. Those of you, you're not on school board, but you got to have 4-H and FFA at home. And you need to be strengthening those programs, not turning the back on them. We've got school systems that are. And right now, we need those things that are building citizens and providing some skills to people. And I would challenge you to put that in your field of vision. Our Georgia Grown program is available to you, georgiagrown.com. We've relaunched it this year, and I just can't be more excited about what's happening. Folks, we're licensing the use of the Georgia Grown logo for businesses. You'll begin to see it in the retail market this next year. And in fact, I'm happy to report to you that in April, we will open the first Georgia Grown licensed store on Concourse D of Atlanta Hartsfield International Airport. That's pretty cool stuff. Now, there's a hook in it. If you got to be a member of our program to get your product in there, and we can talk about that later. But it's all about building the integrity of that brand and what we're doing great in Georgia. So we'd love to come into your communities, help you. I've got folks that'll come help. Identify producers, identify processors, work and build this, come to your festivals, those kinds of things to build the brand. Local, ladies and gentlemen, is really, really important. Regional branding, too, is something to consider. I salute my friends from Morgan County, and I believe Newton and Putnam and Jasper County got a new effort. I believe they're calling Georgia's Heartland. They've got their own. Anybody here from those counties? You heard about that? I think there's some regional, do some things at home, but there's regional partnerships that are so much important, and that's still local. Lastly, what's logical? Craig hit on this a little bit. What's logical for your community? I still say for most of us, it turns back to the first two words. It's about being loyal at home, and it's about looking at local businesses, and particularly when it comes to agriculture, it's very logical that we have as a critical element of our local local economic development strategy is to look at what we can do to help agriculture prosper. We're opening. Do you know that last year, I don't think it'll be quite that this year, but last year, if I had 10 pecans, and actually when they get over $3 a pound, they're called pecans. But if we had 10 of them up here that were produced last year, do you know 4 of them went to China? We have incredible trade relations for the products that we produce here in Georgia, and those will continue to build. But and so there are opportunities for companies and businesses and farmers, farm families, and agritourism. Boy, it's just so many great ways to attract those outside dollars into your communities. I would ask you to do this and challenge you to establish a mindset at your Board of Commissioners that we're going to, as we do, I challenge my team at the Department of Agriculture all the time. We're a regulatory agency, but they will tell you point blank, and I will tell them again this afternoon and tomorrow, and it is a constant message at our place. Our job is to help people get in business. Our job is to help people stay in business. We have laws that occasionally we find ourselves putting someone out of business, but that's not the first choice. Look for a way to say yes. Look for a way to work within those bounds. I suggest to you, ladies and gentlemen, loyal, local, and what's logical are good foundation stones for you to be building on. I look forward to taking your questions. Thank you, and God bless you.